Derby County looks set to be heading for their next summer signing, with Red Bull Salzburg midfielder Bobby Clark looking like he's going to be heading to Pride Park Stadium. It's being reported by that of Pete O'Rourke that Derby County will be sealing the transfer for Bobby Clark on a season-long loan deal, and he's having his medical right now. Now, this is a very, very big move for Derby County. Bobby Clark is a player that they've sort of been after over the course of the last few summers, but ultimately have never been able to get that deal done. Now, Bobby Clark is a very, very good midfielder. He joined Red Bull Salzburg last season and didn't quite get the opportunities that maybe he wanted, didn't play the minutes as much as he would have probably liked, and ultimately that is why this move is on the cards for Derby County. Now, he's contracted at Red Bull Salzburg until the summer of 2029, but there's no reason why Derby County can't pick up this loan deal. Over the course of last season, he played 18 times in the Austrian Bundesliga, as well as a couple of appearances in the UEFA Champions League, but ultimately it just wasn't quite that step up that he wanted to first team football. Now, we're going to take a look into Bobby Clark and the move to Derby County, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. But let's get into it. Now, Bobby Clark is a very, very versatile midfielder, can play all the way through the middle, whether it be holding as that number 8 or as that number 10. He can also play on the left and the right of midfield, and he's a very, very good footballer. Now, he spent time at Liverpool, obviously spent time at Newcastle as well before he moved to Liverpool, and then obviously made that move to Red Bull Salzburg. Now, he's a very, very good midfielder and could find himself a key part of Derby County's midfield. Now, he is English, although I'm not entirely sure if he's had any youth international call-ups at this moment. If I just look on screen now, he's played at 15s, 16s, 18s, 19s and 20s, but has not played any higher than under 20s as of yet. But very, very good performer, very, very good player. And I think ultimately, when when we come to this sort of discussion in regards to Bobby Clark, you look at the circumstance he found himself in last year where he made that move, didn't quite go as well as planned when the move to Derby County was potentially on the cards as well, on a loan deal and staying at Liverpool. But now he's going to end up here anyway, and it's going to be a very, very good move for Derby County. I think if you look at the area where Derby County need players, it certainly is that number 10 role, and I think he's a player that can certainly sort of take us to that next level in the midfield and certainly push us onto that sort of new bounds. Now, is he someone who's going to come in and start this weekend? I personally don't know. I think it may be one where, as the season progresses, he'll build his way into the team. Obviously, you look at the way we've played through pre-season, and you're not going to want to make many changes from that, but ultimately having a player like Bobby Clark on the sidelines for you to put into the squad is nothing short of amazing, especially when you consider the team that we had available to us at this time last year. Like, in my opinion, Bobby Clark is a much better player than the likes of Marcus Harness, the likes of even someone like James Collins and Twanda Chiwa, the players that were sort of roaming between those forward roles. And I think that's sort of the main thing that we've got to take from this, is that Derby County are certainly moving forward in regards of the players they're bringing in, the players they're targeting, and all things among that. Now, obviously, when we discuss bringing in players like Bobby Clark, we discuss there's a video coming out later about Lewis Travis, because his name's being bandied about a lot, and I think it's very important that we get the right sort of midfielders, the right players that are going to improve us going forward, and I certainly believe that Bobby Clark is one of those players that is going to make us better across the course of this upcoming season. Now, obviously, it is one with there's obviously always going to be doubts, there's always going to be question marks, because obviously he's never sort of played at the level. He's never played in the Championship, and obviously his season at RB Salzburg last year, he wasn't necessarily a key figure and was sort of in and out of the team. But it's one of those for me where Liverpool thought he was good enough to play in the Premier League a range of times, played him in the Europa League. He has played in the Champions League, so it's not as if he's sort of a terrible player that sort of needs help. He's still a very, very good footballer and will certainly push Derby County to the next level. And I certainly believe that in that number 10 role, you look at the potential players that can play there now. You've got Kenzo Halbmine, you've got Bobby Clark, who's going to join that list. Obviously, Andy Vyman, Rhian Brewster. So there's a lot of options now for these midfield positions. And that is the important thing for me. And even in those wide areas, he could step in and play and sort of, if we've got Owen Beck playing as that left back, we can have him on the left hand side come in narrow, or we can have him on the right hand side with Kane Wilson, and he comes narrow, Kane Wilson goes sort of long, things like that. And that's the important thing about football. It's having the versatility, it's having the ability to change and the ability to push each other on to be better players and to make sure you make the most of each other's strengths. And I think that this move is certainly one which does that. It also gives the opportunity for Kenzo Helbmine to sit as that deeper lying midfielder still as we sort of progress into the season, and sort of he can continue in that role where he's done really, really well, in my opinion, throughout the course of pre-season. Now, obviously, there is huge conversations in regards to getting that deal done and the things that can be done across the course of the next few weeks in the terms of sort of improving the right hand side, improving the left hand side. Obviously, I think in terms of the striker position, we've done a really, really good job. I think if you look at the players we've brought in Ajimang and things like that, I think we've put ourselves in a really, really good position. Whereas obviously in those wide areas, I just don't quite think that we've done it yet. But obviously that's something which will come in the long term. Now, obviously, this is a move which makes, for me, a lot of sense. Is a player who's played in England before, obviously spent the vast majority of his career at the likes of Newcastle and Liverpool, and I think this is a move where it'll help him move to that next level in his career, not just necessarily where we're sort of putting him in a position to play games, because he's played games across the course of his entire career. He's always been in and around senior squads, and obviously last season he didn't get as much game time as he wanted, but then you look at that RB Salzburg team, it's a very, very good team, and obviously going on into the future, he's wanting to sort of make that move even bigger to sort of another team, and I do think that he has the capability of doing that, but obviously it's going to take time and it's going to take performances, and at 20 years old he's got all the time in the world, valued at €4.5 million as per that of transfer market, and I do believe that this move to Derby County is going to be a very, very good one. I think it opens up that door for other championship clubs to take a look. I think if we look last year, I think it was Middlesbrough, they had a player from Liverpool, Ben Doak, very, very good player. There's so many good players that have come through this Liverpool system over the course of recent years, and yes, I know he came through Newcastle, but then obviously made that move to Liverpool at under 18 level, and I think he's just gone from strength to strength since that move back in 2021, and obviously you cannot complain at the way that he's gone and the career path that he's chosen. I don't think anybody claims that the move he made to the Austrian Bundesliga was a bad one, but it certainly didn't give him that game time that he necessarily needed, but it's a good move for the future of him. If he has a good season at Derby County this year, he could easily become their starting midfielder for next season, but we're going to have to wait and see on that one. Now, for me, this is a wonderful signing. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll catch you in my next video later on today.